Chosen one, tonight is not ordinary. The air might feel like it carries static. The silence might be pierced with invisible waves of chaos, and you may find your spirit unusually restless, as if the external world is screaming for your attention, while something deep within you whispers, "Come home." That whisper. It's not your imagination. It's your soul speaking. It's the pull of your inner fire, flickering in quiet corners of your being, calling you back from the noise that has long distracted you from yourself. You were never meant to drown in the constant static of the world, the endless scrolling, the opinions of strangers, the vibrations of everyone else's panic. The distractions are not just digital, they're energetic. Every sound, every visual, every rushed conversation, each one is a thread tugging you further from your center. And yet, even amidst that whirlwind, you're being asked to stop, to breathe, to realign. Because the truth is, something in you has been dimming, not out of weakness, but out of overload. You've been soaking up too much. Energy that isn't yours, pressure that doesn't belong to you, stories you were never meant to carry. You've been surviving the noise, but your soul came here to burn, to radiate, to blaze with purpose, to glow with clarity. Lately, have you felt it? That internal tension? That ache that no amount of distraction can numb? That's your spirit nudging you toward something essential. It's not asking for a new task or an external answer. It's asking for presence, your full attention, because there's a fire in you that needs tending, and no one can stoke that fire for you. Not your friends, not your family, not the next motivational quote or video. Only you, in silence, in stillness, in sacred solitude, can awaken what the world has buried beneath the noise. Chosen one, you are not being called to do more. You are being called to remember. Remember the frequency you carried before the world taught you how to forget. Remember the peace that lived inside you before urgency became your lifestyle. Remember the divine knowing that once echoed so clearly before everyone else's opinions grew louder than your own. That version of you, the one who walks by intuition, who leads with light, who vibrates in alignment, still exists. They've just been waiting for you to turn away from the noise long enough to hear them again. This is not just about self-care. This is not about taking a break for the sake of productivity. This is a soul retrieval, a deep, sacred returning. And the moment you begin to unplug, you will feel it. The overwhelm loosening its grip, the voices of others fading into the background, and the golden hum of your own soul growing louder, steadier, stronger. You were made for this clarity. You were designed to thrive in the stillness. But to receive it, you must make a conscious choice to step out of the frenzy. Tonight, the universe is presenting you with that choice, not as a punishment, but as a gift. Will you keep feeding the noise, or will you finally feed your fire? Because your fire, that inner light, that core essence, it's not meant to burn out. It's meant to lead you, but it cannot shine when you keep pouring your energy into frequencies that dim your truth. The opinions, the drama, the chaos disguised as urgency, the overstimulation disguised as connection. Let it all fall away, even just for tonight. This is the call. This is the turning point. There is a sacred intelligence in the stillness. When you quiet the world around you, you begin to hear things that were always there. The wisdom of your own breath, the sacred rhythm of your heartbeat, the intuitive nudges that guide you like soft beacons in the dark. You were not created to chase the noise. You were created to carry fire, and your fire needs room to breathe. That's why you've been feeling frustrated. That's why the tension won't let go. That's why every time you try to push through, it feels heavier. You're being pulled inward for a reason. You're being asked to realign with your power source, and chosen one, when you do, when you finally honor the invitation to go within, everything begins to shift. Not always on the outside, not immediately in your circumstances, but within And that inner shift begins to ripple outward. Clarity rises. Peace returns. And most importantly, you begin to remember what matters. The noise loses its grip. The opinions lose their hold. The timeline of the world stops pressuring your divine timing. You begin to walk in rhythm with your own spirit. And suddenly, everything that once felt urgent feels small. Because when your fire is tended, you stop seeking light outside yourself. You become the light. You illuminate the path for yourself and for others, not by shouting, not by rushing, but by simply being. And that, chosen one, is what tonight is about. Not hustle, not proving, not convincing, just being, just breathing, just becoming. You're not falling behind. You're not missing out. You're not broken. You are simply in a divine moment of recalibration. And it's okay to turn away from the noise. It's more than okay. It's sacred. It's necessary. It's aligned. The noise will always be there, chosen one. The world doesn't run out of distractions, crises, opinions, or illusions of urgency. Every day, it throws something new at you. A reason to panic, a headline to absorb, a person to please, a metric to chase. But what the world doesn't offer you is pause. It doesn't offer stillness. It doesn't hand you permission to retreat. That permission you must claim for yourself, and it is in that claiming, that brave, quiet choice to step back, that your inner fire begins to burn again. Stronger, wiser, unapologetic. Many chosen ones right now are feeling disconnected, not because they're lost, but because they're misaligned. They've gotten so used to living externally, responding to everything, absorbing everything, reacting to everything, that they've forgotten how to respond to themselves. But tonight, this is your sacred interruption, a cosmic moment where the heavens are whispering, enough. Enough of the noise, enough of the burnout, enough of the narratives that tell you to stay plugged in even when your soul is asking for silence. You don't need to be everything for everyone. You don't need to match the pace of the world to prove your worth. What you need is reconnection to yourself, your truth, your inner sanctuary. And that connection cannot be forced through activity. It must be allowed through space. You must make room for your own voice to rise again. And the only way to do that is to let the external voices fade. Let them talk. Let the world spin. But you, tonight, you sit with yourself. And it might feel uncomfortable at first. The silence may be loud. The stillness may feel unfamiliar. But sit anyway. Let the discomfort rise. Let the thoughts swirl. Let the urges to check in, scroll through, or tune out pass through you like waves. You are not those urges. You are not your distractions. You are the one beneath them. And the longer you stay with yourself, the more the noise will unravel, and the more your own fire will glow. This inner fire, it's not just energy. It's direction. It's intuition. It's clarity. It's what helps you decide what to say yes to and what to say no to. It's what reminds you of your boundaries. It's what protects you from spiritual fatigue. And when that fire is low, everything feels heavy. You question your decisions. You doubt your path. You seek external signs that never satisfy. But when the fire is lit, when it's alive within you, you become your own compass. And that's what tonight is reviving. You were never meant to live by external metrics. You were never meant to outsource your self-worth to likes, followers, validation, or noise. You are ancient, chosen one. You carry wisdom from before this world learned how to perform. And in that wisdom is your peace, your power, your pulse. So even if no one else is doing it, you turn away. Turn away from the commentary. Turn away from the chaos. Turn away from the part of your mind that tells you you'll miss out if you go inward. You won't miss anything, because what's meant for you is never found in noise. It's found in your alignment. The ones who are loudest are not always the ones who are clearest. Sometimes silence is the most powerful sound, and tonight you are invited to live in that sound. To let your energy reconfigure, to let your nervous system exhale, to let your spirit rise. Not because you pushed harder, but because you finally stopped pushing. This message found you for a reason. You didn't come across this by accident. Your higher self called it in. Your guides aligned it. The universe timed it. Because you needed the reminder. You needed the permission. You needed the nudge. And now that you have it, the question is, what will you do with it? Will you keep feeding the fire of everyone else's urgency, or will you finally feed your own flame? Because Chosen One, when your fire burns from within, everything changes. Your energy becomes magnetic. Your boundaries become firm. Your purpose becomes clear. And you stop settling for relationships, routines, and realities that dim your light. You stop explaining your peace. You stop defending your stillness. You start walking in power. Not the power of performance, but the power of presence. There is a shift in your timeline right now. You may not see it on the surface, but it's unfolding. Slowly, precisely, divinely. And your role is not to speed it up. Your role is to align with it, to stay in frequency, to keep your fire burning so that when the moment of action comes, you are ready, not rushed, prepared, not pressured, aligned, not exhausted. So take this moment, take this night. Turn off the notifications, dim the noise, light a candle, breathe into your chest. Place your hand on your heart and whisper, I'm still here. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not forgotten. You are just returning. And this return, it's sacred. Let go of the need to be seen. Let go of the need to prove. Let go of the need to always have answers. The answers are coming. The clarity is near. But for now, just be with you. Because you, without the noise, without the performance, without the filters, are more than enough. Chosen One, this is your time to tend to the flame, to protect it, to nurture it, to let it teach you again how powerful you've always been. The world can wait. Your timeline can wait. But your soul has waited long enough. Let the noise fade. Let the fire rise. Chosen One, now that you've created space, now that you've turned the volume down on the outer world, listen closely to what's rising from within. That stillness you've stepped into, it's not empty. It's full of codes, of signals, of answers that can only emerge in silence. The world taught you to equate stillness with stagnation, to think that quiet meant you weren't growing, weren't evolving. But spiritually, stillness is where the real growth happens. It's where you plant new seeds. It's where divine instructions are whispered into your spirit. And right now, those instructions are beginning to form. They don't come as loud declarations. They don't come with alarms or flashing signs. They come like intuition, soft but undeniable. They come like remembrance. The fire inside you has always known the way, but it needed your presence to guide it. Not your hustle, not your noise, your presence, your full attention. You see, Chosen One, your frequency is sacred. It is not meant to be broadcasted to anyone and everyone. It's not meant to be stretched thin just because others are louder. You don't owe anyone constant access to your energy. Not everyone is meant to sit beside your fire. Some only come to take warmth without bringing anything to sustain it. But you're being taught how to tend your fire in a way that honors your future. Because where you're going, you can't afford to be distracted. You can't afford to be energetically fragmented. You need to be whole, aware, and divinely focused. That's why this season is quieter. That's why people may be falling away. That's why the conversations that once entertained you now feel empty. It's not because you're becoming cold. It's because you're becoming clear. You're not rejecting the world. You're refining your resonance. You're no longer willing to exchange your light just to be included in circles that drain you. You're no longer looking for validation in places where your soul has outgrown the frequency. This sacred isolation is protection. It's preparation. It's the universe saying, it's time to come back to you. Because there's a mission ahead. Something your spirit agreed to before you arrived here. And that mission cannot be fulfilled when you are constantly pulled away from yourself. You've done the external dance. You've mastered the performance, but now you are being called to embody the power behind the curtain. The power that doesn't need a stage, only alignment. Let go of the belief that you need to respond to everything. You don't. Let go of the need to be constantly reachable, constantly available. You are allowed to be unavailable to anything that isn't feeding your fire. You are allowed to step back. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to prioritize your peace. In fact, that's the only way forward. The world may not understand your withdrawal. Some may even call you distant or changed. But chosen one, you didn't come here to be understood by everyone. You came here to follow divine instruction. And when the universe says, turn away from the noise, it's not asking, it's guiding. Obedience to that guidance unlocks clarity you've been praying for, miracles you've been waiting for, peace you thought was lost. Tonight, make no apologies for needing silence. Make no apologies for protecting your energy. Make no apologies for turning inward when the world is shouting for your attention. Your soul is not for sale. Your fire is not up for debate. You carry a divine essence, and it must be preserved. And when you obey this call, when you choose silence over performance, depth over display, alignment over attention, the shift begins, slowly at first. Then suddenly, the people who truly resonate with your fire will remain. The ones who only fed off your light will fall away. The opportunities that align with your frequency will rise. The distractions will lose their grip. And in that new reality, you will not only feel powerful, you will be power. Quiet, steady, undeniable power. You'll begin to speak less, but your presence will say more. You'll begin to do less, but your energy will move mountains. You'll stop explaining your process and start embodying your purpose. This is the gift of tending to your inner fire. It purifies, it reveals, it awakens. So, if you felt the urge to pull back lately, trust it. If you've been craving more solitude, honor it. If the things that once excited you now feel heavy, don't force them. Your soul is upgrading. Your fire is changing color. Your energy is recalibrating to match what's coming. And what's coming is too sacred to be met with scattered energy. You are not meant to be everywhere. You are not meant to carry everything. You are meant to be present, powerful, and poised. And that requires stillness. That requires silence. That requires boundaries. Let tonight be your reset. Let this moment be your realignment. You are not behind. You are not disconnected. You are being retuned. And as that tuning completes, you will emerge clearer, lighter, and more aligned than ever before. Let the noise fade into the background. Let the fire rise. Chosen one, what's happening now is not a collapse. It's a convergence. The pieces of your spirit that were once scattered, exhausted, and bent out of shape are quietly returning to you. In the silence, you can feel them. The versions of you that kept surviving through chaos. The versions that tried to keep up with the noise. The ones that dimmed their light just to belong. They are coming back to be healed. They are gathering around your inner fire, ready to be seen, not judged, ready to be alchemized. That is the power of quiet. It doesn't erase the pain, it helps you process it. It doesn't delete your past, it lets you learn from it. And in this stillness you've created, the truth of who you are becomes clearer. Not the version of you others projected, not the persona you performed under pressure, but the original self, the one that knew from the beginning what your mission was. And that self is not interested in noise. That self is only interested in light, in alignment, in frequency. There's a sacred clarity forming around you. It's subtle, like a mist lifting from a quiet forest at dawn. You may not fully see it yet, but you can sense it, in the way you feel less reactive, in the way your boundaries are becoming less negotiable, in the way your body relaxes in stillness. That's not random. That's your inner fire beginning to lead. It's what happens when you finally stop feeding the noise and start nourishing the soul. This is a realignment. Not with trends, not with timelines, but with truth. And as your frequency rises, so will your discernment. You'll begin to notice the difference between connections that expand you and those that shrink you, between opportunities that stretch your spirit and those that only stretch your calendar. You'll stop tolerating relationships where you feel like you're shrinking just to maintain peace. You'll stop investing your energy into spaces that drain your sacred fire. And the best part? You won't need to force any of it. You won't need to announce your shift, or defend your choices, or over-explain your peace. Your energy will speak for you. Your presence will realign the room. Your silence will say more than noise ever could. This is the spiritual weight of someone who has turned inward and found their power there. It's okay if this process feels unfamiliar. If parts of you still want to check back in, to scroll, to engage, to explain, that's conditioning, not your truth. You've been taught to stay plugged in, to measure your relevance by your reach, to perform worthiness through visibility. But spiritual growth often asks for invisibility, not to hide you, but to refine you, to teach you how to glow from within before the world ever notices your shine. So if your world is quieter right now, good. If your circle is smaller, good. If your days are less busy but more meaningful, good. You're not being left behind. You're being brought home. And when your fire burns steady, you'll begin to attract everything meant for you with zero noise. No force, no proving, just frequency. And chosen one, that's the life your soul signed up for. Not a life of performance, but of presence. Not one of chaos, but of clarity. Not one of constant output, but of divine alignment. This is your return, not to who you were, but to who you've always been underneath the noise. You didn't come here to be consumed by distractions. You didn't come here to be pulled in 1,000 directions. You came here to walk in wisdom, to speak with clarity, to create from alignment. And all of that begins when you turn inward and tend to the fire within. Let others chase attention. You'll carry presence. Let others speak to be heard. You'll speak to be felt. Let others burn out trying to keep up. You'll burn bright because you finally slowed down. And the world will notice. They'll wonder how you glow in silence, how you move with grace when others are flailing, how you know when to act and when to wait. But you won't need to explain it, because when you walk with inner fire, you don't need permission. You become the proof. So let tonight be sacred. Let it be your signal to the universe that you are ready. Not for more noise, but for more alignment. Ready to walk in resonance, ready to protect your fire at all costs, ready to become so rooted in your truth that nothing external can unseat your peace. This isn't about avoiding life. This is about living it with clarity, with boundaries, with purpose, with power. And that power isn't found in being everything to everyone. It's found in being whole with yourself. Turn away from the noise. Tend to your fire. Because in the silence, you will remember that everything you've been chasing, the peace, the purpose, the clarity, was never out there. It's always been inside you, waiting for your return. Your return begins now. Chosen one, if this message resonated, it's because something deep within you is shifting. Not on the surface, but at the soul level. Tonight wasn't just about hearing some words. It was about receiving a divine confirmation of what you've already felt stirring inside. You've known it for some time now. The volume of the outside world has gotten too loud, too constant, too draining, and your spirit has been quietly calling you back. Back to the stillness, back to alignment, back to your fire. You're not imagining the fatigue. You're not being overly sensitive when you feel overstimulated by the chaos around you. What you're feeling is sacred intelligence, the inner compass that's guiding you toward your highest self. And that self is not interested in endless noise. That self is ready for clarity, for purpose, for peace. So let this be your permission to unplug, to choose silence, to sit in your own energy without apologizing for it. There is nothing lazy about rest. There is nothing selfish about protecting your frequency. In fact, that is your responsibility, especially as someone chosen to walk a path of light. You cannot pour from an empty vessel, and you cannot burn brightly if your fire is always being stolen by distractions. As you move forward from this moment, let your actions match the wisdom you've just remembered. Turn off what needs to be turned off. Step back from what no longer feeds your spirit. Choose solitude when your soul craves it. Protect your boundaries like sacred gates. And above all, honor the divine timeline that is unfolding for you. Not in chaos, but in quiet power. Leave a comment below with "I'm ready" if you feel this shift. Drop a 777 if you know this found you for a reason. And if you're committed to protecting your frequency and rising in your purpose, make sure you're subscribed, because what comes next is even deeper. Until next time, stay rooted, stay aware, and tend to your inner fire. You are not alone. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. And everything is aligning, quietly, divinely, just for you. Chosen one, you made it through this message because your soul was ready. Ready to return to what matters. Ready to shed the layers that no longer serve you. And ready to reconnect with the part of you that the noise tried to bury. You didn't come across this by accident. This message wasn't just a collection of words. It was a frequency, a key to a door you were already standing in front of. And now, that door is wide open. The outer world thrives on overstimulation. It wants you reactive, not reflective. Distracted, not aligned. And if you've been feeling tired lately, not just physically tired, but soul-deep weary, it's because your system has been absorbing more than it was ever designed to carry. Every scroll, every conversation that drains you, every demand on your attention, it adds up. And slowly, without realizing it, your fire dims. Not because it's gone, but because it's buried beneath layers of external input that were never yours to carry. But something in you knew. Something deep within recognized that stillness is not a luxury. It's a necessity. And tonight, that truth became undeniable. You're not here to chase energy. You're here to generate it. From within. From your source. From your fire. And to do that, you must be willing to step back from the noise. Even when the noise comes disguised as urgency, as responsibility, or even as love. This isn't about rejecting the world. It's about returning to yourself. Because when you're full of yourself, in the most sacred, aligned way, you no longer abandon your peace to make others comfortable. You stop over-explaining your silence. You stop apologizing for your boundaries. You stop negotiating with energy that only exists to disrupt your flow. And that, chosen one, is when everything begins to change. When you commit to your inner fire, you start to see clearly. You stop second-guessing your intuition. You stop needing external validation to know you're on the right path. You stop tolerating noise disguised as connection. You start choosing peace over performance, alignment over approval, and solitude over shallow bonds. And you begin to burn. Not out, but brighter. Others may not understand this version of you. The one who isn't constantly available. The one who's no longer reacting. The one who values their energy so deeply that they guard it with reverence. That's okay. You weren't chosen to be understood. You were chosen to be aligned. And sometimes alignment requires walking alone. Not because you're isolated, but because you're incubating. You're growing. You're healing. You're becoming. In a world that screams, your silence is revolutionary. In a timeline that celebrates speed, your slowness is sacred. In a society that thrives on burnout, your rest is an act of spiritual rebellion. And when you tend to your inner fire, when you sit with yourself without trying to escape, numb, or distract, you discover a version of you that is unshakable. That version of you doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. They don't need the spotlight to shine. They don't need a crowd to feel valid. Their glow comes from within. and it radiates in everything they touch. And you're becoming that version now, bit by bit, moment by moment, in the silence, in the stillness, in the soft, holy space where transformation happens. So tonight, as you turn off the noise and tune back into your own rhythm, remember, this is a return, not a retreat. You're not pulling away from life. You're preparing to re-enter it more whole, more aware, more grounded, and more rooted in truth, because you are not here to be consumed by noise. You are here to become the quiet center in the middle of chaos, the calm in the storm, the light in the fog. You are not meant to keep up with the world. You are meant to realign it through your presence. Chosen one, let the silence speak to you now. Let it show you what you forgot in the noise. Let it remind you of what was never lost, only buried. You're not starting over. You're starting deeper, from the fire that never left you. It only needed tending. If you feel the shift in your spirit right now, hold it. Protect it. Don't let the world rush you back into distraction. Stay with the energy. Let it soak into your cells. Let it recalibrate your nervous system. Let it tell every part of you that it's safe to rest, to reflect, to rise in your own divine time.